Good evening and welcome to Daddy's Bedtime Stories. Today we're reading The Folk of the Faraway Tree, just for something different. So, tonight we're going to read a little bit more of this book and get us closest to the end. So let's have a little go and see how we go. So, I hope you enjoy, kids, and hope it gets you to sleep. Okay, here we go. "Don't poo at me like that," said Dame Slap, getting all angry all of a sudden. "Go to bed. Off to bed with you for the rest of the day." But, began poor Moonface, in alarm, wishing he had not spoken. "But you'll run into a goat in a minute if you are so full of butts," said Dame Slap, and she pushed Moonface out of the door. She drove the others out too, and took them to a small bedroom in which there were 4 tiny beds, very hard and narrow. "Now into your bed you get, and nothing but bread and water for you all day long. I will not have rudeness in my school." She shut the door and locked it. Moonface looked at the others in dismay. "I'm sorry I made her do this," he said. "Very sorry, but really, she did make me feel so cross. Do you think we'd better go to bed? She might smack us hard if we don't." Connie leapt into bed at once, fully dressed as she was. She wasn't going to risk Dame Slap coming back and slapping her. The others did the same. They drew the sheets to their chins and lay there gloomily. This was a horrid adventure, just when they had so much to look forward to, coming out to tea too. "I wonder what Bessie and Fanny are doing," said Moonface, choking hard. "I suppose I do think Saucepan might have warned us that his mother had gone. It's too bad." Just then there came a sound of a song floating up from outside. "2 worms for a sparrow, 2 slugs for a duck, 2 snails for a blackbird, 2 hens for a cluck." "It's Saucepan! It must be Saucepan!" cried everyone, and jumped out of bed and ran to the window. Outside, far down below, stood Saucepan, and there with him Bessie and Fanny, giggling. "Oh, we wondered where you were," said Saucepan, grinning. "Dame Slap's locked in too. Locked in the larder by sharp young Bessie here. She was just doing it when I came along to see if you had arrived." "Arrived? We've been here for ages," said Joe indignantly. "Why didn't you come to warn us?" "My watch must be wrong again," said Saucepan. "He usually kept it in one of his kettles, but as you shook about every day, I wasn't a very good timekeeper. Never mind, I'll rescue you now." A terrific banging noise came from somewhere downstairs. "That's Dame Slap in the larder," said Saucepan. "She is in a dreadful temper." "Well, for goodness sake, help us out of here," said Connie, alarmed. "How can we get the doors? How can we get out? The door's locked, and I heard Dame Slap taking the keys out of the other side. Crash, bang, clatter. Sounds as if Dame Slap is throwing a few pies and things about," said Joe. "Saucepan, how can we get out of here?" "I'll just undo the rope that hangs around my things around me," said Saucepan, and he began to untie the rope around his waist. He undid it, and then to the children's surprise, the kettles and saucepans began to peel off. They were each tied firmly to the rope. "Saucepan does look funny without his kettles and pans around him," said Connie in surprise. "I hardly know him." Saucepan took the end of the rope and tied a stone to it. He threw it up to the window. Joe caught the stone and pulled the rope. It came up, laden here and there with kettles and saucepans. "Tie the rope end to the bed," called Saucepan. "Then come down the rope. You can use the kettles and saucepans as steps." They tied on very tightly, so very cautiously. Moonface, Joe and Silky, all very nervous, Connie climbed down the rope, using saucepans and kettles as steps. They were very glad to stand on firm ground again. "Well, there we are," said Saucepan. "Wasn't that a good idea?" "Yes, but how do we get your stock of kettles and saucepans back for you?" said Joe. "It doesn't matter at all," said Saucepan. "I can take as many as I can carry out of the kitchen here. There are what I gave my mother each birthday. I take as many as I can carry out of the kitchen here." They are what I gave my mother each birthday, you know, so they are hers." He went into the kitchen and collected a great array of kettles and saucepans. He tied them all to a rope and then once more became the old saucepan. Man, they knew so well, hung around with pots and pans of all sizes. Crash, smash, clang. Dame Slap was getting angrier and angrier in the larder. She kicked and stamped. "Dame Slap," cried Joe, suddenly as he stood outside the locked door, "I will ask you a question, and if you can tell me the answer, I will set you free. Now be quiet and listen." There was silence in the larder. Joe asked his question. "If saucepan takes 12 kettles from your kitchen, how long does it take to boil a cup of tea on Friday?" The others giggled. There came an angry cry from the larder. "It's a silly question, and there's no answer. Let me out at once." "It's the same kind of question you asked us," said Joe, "and I'm sorry you can't answer it, and I can't either, so you must stay there where you are till one of your school children is kind enough to let you out. Goodbye, dear Dame Slap." The children and the others went out giggling into the garden. "Where are we going now?" asked Bessie. "Where's your mother, Saucepan?" "She's in the land of tea parties," said Saucepan. "It's not very far. I took her there because it's her birthday, you know, and I thought she'd like to have a tea party without going to any trouble. Shall we go?" So, hearing Dame Slap's furious cries and bangs gradually fading behind them, the little party set off together. They were very glad to have escaped from Dame Slap in safety. "Come on, here's the boundary between the land and the next jump," said Saucepan. They jumped, and over they went into the land of tea parties. What a fine time they meant to have there. Oh, lots of yummy goodies and cakes. The land of tea parties. I do like the sound of that. The land of tea parties was particular. It seemed to be made up of nothing but white cloth tables laden with all kinds of good things to eat. "Gracious," said Joe, looking around, "what a lot of tables. Big and small, round and square, all filled with gorgeous things to eat." "They've got chairs set around them too," said Fanny. "All ready for people to sit on. Look at their little waiters," said Connie in delight. "They are rabbits." So they were, rabbits dressed neatly in aprons, or little black coats, hurrying here and there, carrying pots of tea, jugs of lemonade, and all kinds of other drinks. It was so lovely to watch them. They were so very busy, so very serious. Pixie's tea party sitting over there. Aren't they sweet? "Oh, do look, there's a squirrel party," said Fanny. "Mother and Father Squirrel and all the baby squirrels. I expect it's the birthday of the baby squirrels." It was fun to see the little tea parties, but soon the children began to feel hungry. There were such nice things on the tables. There were sandwiches of all kinds, stuck with little labels to show what they were. Fanny read some of them out loud. "Dewdrop and honey sandwiches. Ooh. And here are some sardine and strawberry sandwiches. What a funny mixture. But I dare say it would be nice. And here are orange and lemon sandwiches. I've never heard of those. And pineapple and cucumber. Really, what an exciting lot of things." "Look at the cakes," said Connie. "I've never seen such beauties." Nor had anyone else. There were pink cakes, yellow cakes, chocolate cakes, ginger cakes, fruit cakes, silver balls, all over them, cakes with icing, cakes with flowers, cakes made with sugar, cakes as big as could be, and tiny ones, only enough for 2 persons. There were jellies and fruit salads, ice creams. What table should they choose? There was different things on every table. "Here's one with chocolate ice cream," said Connie. "Let's have this one." "No, I'd like this one. It's got blue jellies, and I've never seen those before," said Silky. We find Saucepan's mother before we do anything," said Moonface. "Gracious, of course we ought," said Bessie. "Seeing all these gorgeous things made me forget we had come to have tea with Saucepan's mother. "Saucepan, where is your mother?" "Over there," said Saucepan, and he pointed to where the dearest little old woman, sitting, waiting, her apple cheeks rosy red, and her bright eyes twinkling as brightly as Saucepan's. "She's waiting. She's got the pink rose in her hat, look, and the hat pin, and she's sewn the red poppy buttons onto her dress, and she's pinned the M for mother brooch in the front. The only thing she can't wear are the shoehorn and the vase, and I think she's got them in her pocket. She was awfully pleased with everything. Let's go and wish her many happy returns for the day," said Bessie. So they went over to the dear little old lady and wished her a very happy birthday. She was delighted to see, and she kissed them, each one even Moonface. "Well, I am glad you've come," she said. "I begin to think something might have happened to you." "It had," said Joe, and he began to tell her about Dame Slap. But old Mrs. Saucepan was just as deaf as Saucepan himself. "Here you are at last," said Mrs. Saucepan to Saucepan. "Yes, we did come fast," agreed Saucepan. "We locked Dame Slap in the larder." "Harder," said Mrs. Saucepan. "Harder than what?" The children giggled. Joe went up to Mrs. Saucepan and spoke very clearly. "Let's have tea. The tables are getting filled up." Mrs. Saucepan heard. "Yes, we will," she said. "And I'd like a table with blue jellies," said Silky. "I'd like one with pineapple and cucumber sandwiches," said Connie. "Well, as it's Saucepan's mother's birthdays, don't you think we ought to let her choose the table?" said Bessie. "She ought to have the things she likes the best today." "Yes, of course," said the others, rather ashamed not to have thought of that. "Mrs. Saucepan, please choose your own table." Well, Mrs. Saucepan went straight to the big round table with 8 chairs and sat down at the head of it. And wasn't it strange? There were blue jellies there for Silky, pineapple and cucumber sandwiches for Connie, big fat chocolate cake for Moonface, and all the things the others wanted too. "This is glorious," said Connie, beginning on the sandwiches. "Ooh, I never in my life tasted such beautiful sandwiches, never." The little rabbit waiters ran up and bowed to old Mrs. Saucepan. "What will you have to drink?" they asked. "Tea for me," said Mrs. Saucepan. "What for you others?" "Lemonade, ginger beer, orangeade, lime juice, cherryade," called the children, and the others. The rabbits ran off and came back with trays of everything that was asked for, and a fat brown teapot of tea for Mrs. Saucepan. What fun they had! There were squeals of laughter from everyone, and from every table there came happy chattering. The land of tea parties was certainly a great success. The children finished up with ice cream, then the rabbits brought young, big, gay boxes of crackers, and the air was soon full of pops and bangs. Mrs. Saucepan pulled crackers with each of them, and they were lovely things inside. Brooches and rings, toys, comic hats, and everyone put on at once. We've had a glorious time," said Joe at last, "but I think we ought to go now, Mrs. Saucepan. Thank you very much for asking us here. I hope you get another job as cook somewhere soon." "Oh, I think I shall go and live in the faraway tree with Dame Washalot," said Mrs. Saucepan. "She's always so busy with her washing. She hasn't much time to cook. I could do the cooking for her. I could make cakes to sell too, and have a little shop there." "Ooh, that would be absolutely lovely," cried Bessie. "I'll come and buy from you often." "We'd better get back through the land of Dame Slap very cautiously indeed," said Moonface. "We can't get back to the tree from this land because it's not over the tree. We shall have to creep back through Dame Slap's land and rush to the ladder quickly." So they said goodbye to the busy little rabbit waiters and jumped over the boundary line again, back into Dame Slap's land. They had to pass near the school, of course, and they listened hard to see what was going on. There was a most terrific noise of shouting, laughing, squealing. The grounds of the school were full of school children at what time they were having. Old Dame Slap must still be in the larder, said Moonface. Yes, listen, I believe I can still hear her hammering away. Sure enough, over all the noise made by the school children, there came the sound of hammering. Hadn't we better go and set her free, said Fanny, rather alarmed. She might stay there for ages and starve to death. Don't be silly. How can she starve when she is surrounded by food of all kinds, said Moonface. It will be the children who will go hungry. I guess when they are hungry enough, they will open the larder door and let Dame Slap right out. Goodness, what a temper she will be in. They'll all be hurried through the land at top speed, half afraid that Dame Slap might be let out before they were safe, and come after them. Still, they had Mrs. Saucepan with them, and if anyone had to stand up to Dame Slap, she certainly would. They came at last to the ladder sticking out from the land from the cloud below. You go first, Moonface, and help Mrs. Saucepan down, said Joe. So down went Moonface and politely, carefully helped the old lady down the little yellow ladder, through the cloud, and onto the topmost branch of the tree. Everyone followed, breathing sighs of relief to be safely away from Dame Slap once more. Nobody ever wanted to visit her land again. We really must say goodbye now, said Joe to the tree folk. Shall we just take Mrs. Saucepan down to Dame Washalot for ye, Saucepan? I'll come too, said Saucepan, hearing what was said. So down they went to Dame Washalot. Saw old Mrs. Saucepan. She was most excited. She threw her soapy arms around the old lady's neck and hugged her. I hope you've come to stay, she said. I've always wanted you to live in the faraway tree. Goodbye, Mrs. Saucepan, said Bessie. I shall come and buy your cakes the very first day you sell them. I do hope you've had a happy birthday. The nicest one I've ever had, said the old lady, beaming. Goodbye, my dears, and hurry home. In the land of secrets, Connie could not forget the exciting faraway tree and the different lands that came from the top. Well, that concludes the reading for tonight, girls and boys. I hope you've enjoyed the reading. It's a lovely book, and it's good to hear that the kids finally escaped from Dame Slap's land. So I hope that you kids have a very enjoyable evening and get a nice, restful sleep. And get up tomorrow morning ready for a brand new day. Good night, and I hope you enjoyed the story. From Daddy's Bedtime Stories, have a lovely night. Goodbye.